Update. Would I be the a-hole if I cut my family out of my life after inheriting an estate? Original post. Okay, for background, I, male 24, live a very different life than the majority of my family. I didn't graduate high school, but got a GED and started working as a welder and hunting guide. The rest of my family is pretty successful. For instance, my father is a lawyer and my mom used to be a registered nurse. Brothers own companies, sister got married to a lawyer, etc. I'm glad my family found a lot of success, but they can be very shallow. It often put me down for what I do for work. My mom will make comments like, "When are you going to school to get a real job?" or stuff like that. They didn't want to pay for welding school, so I worked at an auto shop to pay my own way through. They often go on vacations and cruises without me because I won't be able to appreciate the culture or food and other BS like that. I love them, but I have been slowly pulling away from them over the last few years since I can tell that we live different lives, and they have no interest in sharing their lives with me. Now, my grandfather's brother Mike and I have always been pretty close. Mike and I used to go hunting when I was pretty young, and even though Mike was also working in law, he and I shared a love of the outdoors and nature. About a year ago, Mike was diagnosed with cancer and has quickly gone downhill in the last few months. I have taken a lot of time off of work to care for him since he is my oldest relative and no one else wants to take care of a frail, sick old man for some callous reason. His wife died 15 years ago and he doesn't have any children. He recently asked me if taking care of him was hurting me financially, and I told him that I was cutting back on hours at work, but I loved him more than any of my other family members, so it was my pleasure to take care of him. The next time I went to visit him, he revealed to me that he was having his will changed and would be willing his hunting cabin to me. It's not a cabin. It's a small single-family home with power and running water on 70-plus acres, along with about $100,000 to get it fixed up and start your life. He wants the rest of his estate to be liquidated and donated to different causes that he was passionate about. Mike is actively dying now. He asked to be taken out of hospice so he can die at home with his dog, who will also be coming with me when he passes away. In his own home, my family was talking about how much money Mike has, and how when he dies, they want to convert his hunting cabin into a summer vacation home, and how they were going to fund a big memorial trip to Europe on his dime, since we are his last remaining family, and they expect the majority of his wealth to be broken up between us all. They do not know that everything is being donated and I'm getting the house and some of his money. I know that when they find out about what Mike has so graciously done for me, they will rip me down and curse his name. I don't want to be around for the fallout. I plan to set aside some money for renovating the house for full-time use and start a small welding company someday. So would I be the a-hole if I cut them out of my life as soon as Mike is gone? Seeing this new greedy side of them has soured me a lot, and I don't know if I can even stand being around them anymore. Even though I know that Mike always said that your family should be everything to you. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Using what he left you and building up your life is the best way to honor your uncle. People can be vultures when someone dies, and it's always satisfying when they face an empty field. Besides, since they're also super successful and cultured, they shouldn't mind if the poor family gets a leg up. Thanks. I want to honor Mike as best I can, and family was very important to him, so I was worried I might be spitting on one of his core values by cutting the rest of my family out of my life. Make sure the cabin is locked down, locks changed, and cameras up, so no one can move in and claim it. I plan to make sure everything is locked up tight, but since it appears they can't even remember what state it's in, I think that'll help. Not the a-hole. They will probably be the ones cutting you out when they find out what happened. Better make sure his will is bulletproof and your family of lawyers can't contest it. Like a video and/or attorney friend sit in and record the documents. Families can be really messed up and worse when estates are involved. I had to sue my disgusting family after my father died. No one is worse than family, especially greedy entitled ones. My great-grandpa's estate was worth over $11.5 million according to lawyers in 2012 when he set up a trust, all in real estate. Mind you, 2012 was near the bottom of the market, and he owned an apartment complex and quite a few houses in California. My aunt was designated executor of his estate and proceeded to max out lines of credit against all of the properties. unbeknownst to any trustees, since the truster was still alive, just too out of it to know what my aunt was up to. When he died a few years ago, there was less than $4 million to be split between my parents and their siblings. My uncle did a similar thing with my other grandparents. Family doesn't mean anything to some people when money's involved. Now, for the update 4 months later, Mike passed away shortly after my last post. He died peacefully in his sleep. His last waking hours were spent with me, Macy, and a nurse that was caring for him. He is buried next to his late wife. He lived a good life. Some of his last words to me were, "We had a pretty good run, didn't we?" The will issue was hilarious to me and was a great pain reliever. Mike is always looking after me even after his death, because watching the bombs fall in real time was like chicken soup to my grieving soul. Yes, Mike did leave the cabin and money to me. He also left me his guns, his dog and her stuff, and his fishing pole/tackle and a few mementos from over the years. He changed the will 3 years ago and simply never told me or anyone else in the family. He left various trinkets for other members of our family that were pretty on the nose. For instance, he left my father, who spent a long time complaining about the contractors doing work on the house, a bag of old hand tools. My sister got a box of wine glasses. One of my brothers got a drawer full of pens and pencils for your blossoming legal career. He also gave all of us some money for a round of beer in his honor. Watching everyone go from fake sadness to excitement to honor and disgust was quite a trip. My mom kicked a pot of flowers outside the office so hard she tipped it over. My father just stared out the window in silence for a really long time. Oldest brother held it together until we made it home, and then started screaming and swearing about getting a freaking box of pencils as a thank you for being part of his life. I have been moved from the disappointment son list to the third list. As some of you noted, they weren't exactly angry about the cabin and the money Mike left me, but more so his larger assets that were being liquidated and donated. That drove them completely insane. The main target of their abuse was the primary organization that Mike willed the rest of his estate to, and other than an initial small explosion and some snide comments, they seemed to take it in stride. I haven't spoken to them much ever since Mike's passing and the will issue. There are still issues, and such that need to be worked out, and I was told that could last up to a year. The cabin has been locked up. I set up some cameras and a gate alarm. I am moving in slowly, hopping between here and my apartment until my lease is up. It's definitely dated, and I'm currently working through renovations and repairs. Because my phone number is tied to my work, I didn't want to change it. Just opted to block everyone except my mother in case something really bad happened. After a few days of her complaining/questioning why Mike left me something so nice, she quieted down. Last week, she began calling and texting me again and telling me it was an emergency. I spoke on the phone with her, and lo and behold, it was not an emergency. They want me to donate the cabin and land to my sister, since she's thinking about starting a family and wants to raise her future children holistically. I told my mom that my sister and her husband have a double income and a lovely house in a completely different state than me, and if they wanted to move out to the country, they were completely able to do so, but I would not be giving them my land. She then suggested they buy it from me for $200,000, which is far, far less than it is worth. I said no. I got everything from "I'm a selfish bastard" to "if I don't support my sister's dreams of raising her kids in the countryside, I'm dead to her," to Mike would want me to give the cabin and land over, to "see if we ever do anything for you ever again, you entitled a-hole." I feel like it should have been harder to hear those things, but it just feels like they're trying to get me to give up what my great-uncle willed to me, and it made me angry rather than sad. My sister also got on the phone to cry and say it was her and her husband's dream to raise their kids, specifically on Mike's land. I kind of felt bad saying no to her then, but in hindsight, she's never mentioned it before, so maybe this is a new development. Since then, they've been contacting me by email, social media, and the like, hounding me to let my sister have/buy the cabin and land. So despite my best efforts, the people of Reddit are right once again. I should have gone completely no contact. I've deleted my socials, and since I moved job locations, they don't know where I am currently working. They do, however, know where my house is. Sometime while I was at work, my mom and sister drove over and knocked on the doors, tried to open the side door and looked in the windows. On my doorbell camera, my mother very clearly tells my sister not to touch anything so we can't sue. I am thinking of putting up a locking gate. Right now it latches but does not lock. Everyone is now blocked, and I am putting together a list of people that would need to be notified of a phone number change, since I want to change my number. Not really sure how to go about keeping them from walking onto my property. About 2 weeks ago when I came back to my apartment, my parents were both waiting for me to confront me about how devastated my sister is, that our future children won't have the experience of growing up in the country. I'm kind of afraid that they might camp out at the property until I give in. I put up no trespassing signs and I hope that's enough. I know one of my brothers drove by a while back because he snapped me a picture of the road my house is on. Other than that, I'm well. Macy's well and Mike is laughing from the grave. I'll stick around a little longer here and then I'll be logging out of this account permanently. P.S. If anyone has any suggestions for how to find a good dog groomer, please let me know. Mike had a groomer from Macy, but now that we've moved, they're 6 hours away, and I can't keep taking her there. She is shedding a lot, and Mike was firm that she can't be shaved. I have some brushes for her, but I don't know anything about brushing a dog. Also, she has a lot of bandanas and bows that Mike had her wear, but I think I'm tying them too tight because she doesn't seem to like wearing them. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Meeting with the local police is a great suggestion. There was an AITA post a year ago about someone with a vacation cabin for their parents who found out his sisters were renting on the side. When he cut off the sisters, they tried all sorts of things to get back on the property. He hired a local property manager who happened to be friends with the local sheriff. Brother-in-law got arrested for trespassing and it really changed things. As for your gate, think about an old-school lock. We have an automatic driveway gate, but when we leave on trips, my husband uses my 30-year-old bike lock, a chain/cord which cannot be cut, to further secure the gate. I had 2 locks, one with a key and one with a combination lock. He just wraps it between the bars a few times, so there is not much slack. I remember that, and that might be on the money. It does make more sense that they wanted an income stream through Airbnb or VRBO than to raise imaginary children in the country. Yeah, I think you nailed it. Depending on where the cabin is located, can you make nice with the local police presence and make them aware of at least the basics of your family situation, so they can help with the property line reinforcement down the line? It might also be worth it to consult the appropriate lawyers to see about legally protecting your land and property from trespassers, as well as hopefully yourself from the constant harassment. As for Macy, can you search for videos and tips on grooming golden retrievers at home? There's been a steady rise in animal grooming videos, so I hope there's something in there about the bandanas and bows as well. Her accessory closet sounds adorable. I wish you the best in figuring everything out. You got this. I'm going to talk to someone about what I can do legally. It was willed to me and I was given permission to move in, but it's not in my name yet, so I don't really know. I don't understand a lot legal stuff. Letting the police know is a good idea though. Macy has some bows on right now. They're like hair bands that go around her ears. I've got some for every season and holiday. I'm going to try and brush her out myself this evening. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I'll pay rent when my brother does? When my brother 22 and I 20 female were around 14 and 16, we were told that when we graduated high school, our options were to go to college and get a part-time job to pay for stuff, like gas and our phone bills and whatever else we wanted. Don't go to college and get a full-time job and pay rent, or move out. We were also told we only had $20K each in our college accounts and we'll have to get loans for everything else. We both started out at community college. I changed my major 3 semesters in, so I'm starting over. Still in community college for another 2 to 3 semesters. We are also very lucky that there are 3 state schools and a lot of private universities within an hour of my house. My brother chose one an hour and a half away, so he'd have to get an apartment. He quit his job in June and keeps making excuses as to why he can't get another one. So they're paying $1,600 a month for his apartment and another $500 directly to him for food, gas, etc. Community college is free in my state, and I have scholarships and Pell Grants that cover anything school-related, so my college account is untouched right now. I also work 2 part-time jobs. I'm a teacher at a local dance academy and I'm a party princess on weekends. They both pay pretty well. My dance teacher job pays me $35 an hour and I work 10 to 15 hours a week depending on the session. Party Princess varies, but my rates start at $150 for 45 minutes and can go all the way to $500 depending on what the parents select. I have a website where the parents can choose the time slot and the basic activities for the time slot, like ballerina 10:15 to 11, story time, game, tattoos, performance, cake $150, add goodie bags for $75, add mini lesson for $50, add face painting for $65. I work up to 6 parties in a weekend and can do 20 a week during the summers, and I've been doing this for 3.5 years. My parents knew my business was good, but they didn't know how good until I traded in my 2012 Civic for a 2024 CR-V hybrid and paid the difference in cash. Now, suddenly my parents are telling me that I need to pay rent and help out. Since I'm not really in school, my classes are mostly online because I like the flexibility that it allows. I ask why they're suddenly asking now, and they said it's because they're struggling. I ask why they're giving my brother $2,100 a month if they're struggling, but they said he needs the help. I finally told them I am holding up my end of the bargain. I go to school, I work to pay for my car insurance and phone bill and any extras I want. They let me stay here for free while I'm in school. If they really need money this bad, they should tell my brother that he needs to get a job, get student loans, or transfer to one of the schools driving distance from home. But I won't be paying rent until he does. They think I'm being difficult and unfair, and brought up how they paid for my dance and gymnastics growing up. I was a competitive dancer until I was 16, and I'm a level 8 gymnast. But they also paid for my brother to be on his travel baseball team, and got him a private coach, so it evens out. I'm still refusing to pay rent, and I'm considering moving out and renting a room or living with my grandparents. But I wanted to know if I was the a-hole for saying I won't pay rent until my brother does. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I would ask, why are you being penalized for having your act together? In this case, it seems Big Bro is the golden child. My wife dealt with the same BS for years. When she lived with her mother, she had to pay rent, while her younger brother didn't have to do anything. She finally broke away from her family when she met me and is glad to have done so. Not the a-hole. Your parents are teaching your brother to be an entitled lazy bum. They should be proud of what you do, not asking for money that they chose to foolishly give your brother. Hold your ground, or move in with someone else. Your mom and dad aren't doing your brother a favor. He will be missing life lessons, like being responsible and independent. You seem very ambitious and accomplished at a very young age. Congratulations. What you earn is yours. Your parents' poor decisions on where they send their cash is their problem. But he's their baby boy. My sister did this on a much smaller scale to my niece. She worked 2 jobs / 60 hours a week during summer. She and her brother shared a car at college, but she had to pay for all the gas and insurance because she had more money. My mom also said Matthew needed a car more for dates. I said his sister needed it to not be assaulted coming home late from campus. To date, my nephew is an entitled turd.